Welcome to the RadioU podcast. Coming up, Texas is trying to take back its steak.
Also, what I'm giving up for Lent this year may surprise you.
All that and more on the way next. If the algorithm hasn't fed you yet, can we cut and start over? The algorithm hasn't fed this to you yet. It's a trend going viral on TikTok. They call it airport theory. It's a dangerous one. At least a dangerous way to spend your money. Airport theory is less a theory and more of a practice of getting to the airport, more of a challenge, getting to the airport as close to your flight time as you can and still making it onto the flight. It's a dare.
Okay.
How close to your takeoff time or your boarding time can you arrive at the airport and still make it through security and still get on the plane?
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what the point is besides that, obviously, your chance to blow up and go viral. Airport Theory has over 400 million views on TikTok. So if you can do it, people will watch it for this week at least.
If you can do it or fail at it, because it seems like a lot of people are failing at it. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, if you show up 15 minutes before your flight leaves, you're probably going to miss your flight.
Yeah.
You're going to get stuck in security. You're going to get stuck checking your bags or something else random and stupid that happens at an airport that holds everybody up, which is why we have come up with the idea that has worked forever that you need to show up to the airport a couple of hours early.
Yeah. But I will say I don't really ascribe to that airport theory that you need to get there a couple hours early. Because to me, in my experience, if I just don't want to waste time. And there's two things that can happen at the airport. I can get there 3 hours early and either I was always going to be able to get on the flight on time or I was never going to be able to get on the flight on time. It didn't matter when I got there. You know what I'm saying? So why don't I just get there maybe an hour at most early, and then I'm not wasting time. I can live my life.
But then you're stressed out.
I'm not stressed. This is what I'm saying. I get there 3 hours early. The line's long anyways, and I'm still not going to make it. So what am I? That's stressful.
To me, it's more stressful to be like looking down at your phone, being like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck in this extremely long line of security. I got 20 minutes until my flight starts boarding. That's what stresses me out. Now, listen, I've traveled for years, international travel. And to me, airports, you can never guess. There's times when you can go through security in 5 minutes. There's times where I've been in security for 2 hours. I'm not joking. So it's like, you really can never know how it's going to go.
This is what I'm saying. And so why waste your time getting there 3 hours early and sitting around doing nothing when you could have got there 30 minutes early and have the same result either way?
But you may not have had that time to waste. What if you get stuck in security for 2 hours?
I can't even know. That's unknowable.
Well, why not give yourself a buffer of time?
I've never missed a flight. And I've flown a lot. I fly almost every year. I've never missed a flight.
That's great for you.
Yeah.
That's great. I've never missed a flight either, and I always go early.
And think about all those days. You all count the hours. It's turned into days of how long you spent sitting at the airport. Doing what?
Reading books.
Spending extra money on their expensive food.
Reading books, just chilling out because I don't have to worry about standing in a line and being stressed out that I'm not going to have to run like Home Alone to my gate.
Yeah, you spent that time trapped in a prison, a prison of your own making, a prison that you could have been free from. You could have been sitting at home reading books.
I would have been stressed out reading books if I stayed home.
I don't mind the airport theory. I say take the risk.
Huston's going to miss a flight this year, guys.
I didn't know you were allowed to do this. A toddler in Oklahoma recently called 911 because it was a donut emergency. Apparently, he had like an old cell phone that actually was still active for some reason. I don't know why his parents let him have that.
I think even if a cell phone doesn't have like a SIM card or something, it still can make emergency calls.
Yeah, so they probably just gave him the phone to play whatever game kids play now.
Yeah.
And like this is literally like a very small child. Was he 2 years old, 3? I don't know. But he dials 911 and he knew what he was doing. He was like, get me an emergency, a dispatcher right away. I need some donuts and I need them now. It's an emergency. He literally said, this is the quote, 911, it is an emergency. And the dispatcher said, an emergency? And the child goes, emergency donuts. And they said, the dispatcher is playing along now, asking this kid, are you going to share the donuts? The child goes, no, I'm not. This is a boss on the phone right now. And you might think, this is what I'm saying, I didn't know this was allowed. I thought if I called 911 asking for emergency donuts, they'd say, sir, you're not allowed to do this. This is a line that's meant for other important things. And so actually we're going to come and arrest you. But that's not what happened to this child. It took them a while. The next day they had policemen or firefighters, whoever, bring a box of Dunkin' to this child.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm sure it probably took the dispatch a while to like inform the police department of this, heartwarming call. Mm-hmm. And then they decided to come up with a plan. Let's go do this. It's community outreach. I love when police departments do this.
Yeah. Some great photo ops.
Yeah, good photo ops of the police officers, revealing this large box of donuts to him. And this kid is just salivating. Yep. He's an adorable...
In his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt.
Yeah, he's an adorable little boy. And you asked the question of why did he get away with it? Because he's a little boy.
Yeah.
If you called, I'm sorry, Hudson, it just wouldn't be the same.
Some might say I'm a little boy as well. Some have claimed. But listen, this little boy's in luck because we talked about yesterday. Today, he can just get an emergency donut for free at Krispy Kreme. All he needs to do is have some Mardi Gras beads. So,
yeah.
And we all know how you get those.
So you got to call 911 and say,
I have no Mardi Gras beads.
I need emergency Mardi Gras beads.
It's an emergency. I'll explain later. Just get them to me and fast. And today, yes, a Fat Tuesday, a great day to enjoy a donut.
Yes.
Next time you're on a first date, as if there wasn't enough pressure, there's one more thing to watch out for, one more thing to be wary of. This is a new dating term that some experts have coined called floodlighting. You don't want to be with somebody that floodlights you on your first date.
No.
Floodlighting, another word for it, could basically just be oversharing. If you're on a first date and somebody just basically gives you way too much of their previous relationship drama, childhood trauma, et cetera, they're just giving you way too much information than you might need. Some of us may react to that by being like, I mean, again, this is subconscious, but like, oh, you already feel like you have a connection with them because they're being very emotionally vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what actually can happen is like if they're doing that on a first date, like they just either there's a possibility, I guess, they could be manipulating you, but also more likely is this like they've got some stuff going on. And if this could just be the tip of the iceberg for you, it's something you don't want to get involved in.
Yeah, it should be sending up those red flags, those warning signs if someone is oversharing in that type of environment in that way. It's like, okay, what's going on, below the surface here? If this is what they're revealing to me on day 1, what's going to be revealed to me on day 20 or day 50 or whatever if you continue on with this person in a relationship? And I think it's key. Somebody was talking about this on social media and mentioned that, floodlighting at first may seem like this person is being vulnerable, as you said, but actually this is like an armor for them. It's kind of almost like a defense mechanism to go ahead and just overshare and try and trauma bond with you by, just flooding you, with all of this information and stuff. Yeah. It's actually not making them vulnerable. It's just like they get they're more comfortable by oversharing versus like actually being in the moment with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, like the more I think about it, the more I can find more and more reasons why this would be very problematic to me.
Yeah.
Because it also feels like they don't really understand like boundaries. Like we're on a first date. We're supposed to keep this light and fun and like have a good time. And you're here telling me all the horrible things that have happened to you already by your exes. Like I don't need all this in the first date. Like we'll get to this at one point.
Yeah.
If you're not crazy, but let's take it. Let's not
take it slow.
Yeah, this isn't a drag race.
No.
Come on now.
Yeah, no, we don't need to worry about getting as much out as possible in a first date setting. This is just a moment of getting to know you, on a really surface level basis for the first date. So we're talking about jobs. We're talking about family. Like, do you have any siblings? What do your parents do? Whatever. Very, very simple, basic stuff, and not really getting it to the point of being like, so this is how I experienced childhood trauma at 6 years old. It's like, yeah, sure, that conversation could come up, but if you're just willing and ready to, immediately unload that's a red flag.
I think the average person, if let's say, like, I don't know, maybe you have trouble with your parents in the past or whatever. What are your parents like? Well, my dad left me whenever. And like that, and you kind of like, normally they'd be like, you can tell. Yeah. But like, let's kind of leave it there.
Yeah, like we don't need to talk about this right now.
Yeah, we'll come back to this in a month if we're still together or something. But yeah, if somebody just dives right in to all of that and wants to just unpack all of that with you on a first date, it's problematic.
Yeah, I'd be like, we don't need to go into this territory right now. It's just it's not the right moment. Just get to know the person.
What's tough is, all that said, every situation is unique. So maybe there is that one person where it works out for them, Yeah. Like, I don't want to, if other than that, the date went great. But they also floodlighted you. Maybe it's just a weird date. Yeah. But maybe it'll work out.
And there are plenty of people I know that do go deep quite early in their relationships, and that's totally fine, and it works differently, like you said, for each person. But I think there's a difference between going deep and getting into deep conversations and being vulnerable with somebody, and just taking up all the time and the attention by just oversharing and dumping, because this just feels like dumping. Someone comes in and dumps their crap on you, like they're just going through all this stuff and they just dump it and then they leave. Yeah, that's what this is like. It's like they didn't even give you time to process it, and also didn't even give you time to like give
Prepare
any advice or like actually share and bond over something. It's just like they just needed to get it off their chest, and once they got off their chest, they left.
Yeah, just one more thing to be wary of. Here at RadioU, we definitely have a problem with commercials.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems like we're not the only one.
Okay.
At least according to the FCC, which we have a love-hate relationship here at RadioU, and just all stations generally, I think. It's like, it makes your job much more difficult, the Federal Communications Commission, but also as a consumer, it keeps everything in line.
Yeah.
The Federal Communications Commission is investigating commercials. Specifically, why there are so many loud commercials, it seems. Believe it or not, there is a law that went into effect that was passed in 2012 called the Commercial Advertisement Loudness Mitigation Act, or the CALM Act. That is supposed to require TV stations, cable operators, and satellite providers to limit a commercial's average volume to the same average volume as the programming it accompanies. Because what could happen is, especially like if you fall asleep with the TV on and the show is like one volume, and then one of these loud commercials comes in blasting and wakes you up.
Right.
And so that has been an issue for a long time. It was addressed in 2012, but according to the FCC, people complaining about commercials being louder than whatever they're watching, the show or whatever programming they're watching, has skyrocketed in the last couple of years again.
Okay.
And so the culprit this time is not TV stations, cable operators, or satellite providers. It is your streaming services that are now ad supported. You're watching Hulu, whatever you're watching on Hulu is one volume, and then the Dawn dish soap commercial comes on. I have no idea. I'm just throwing Dawn under the bus here. And it's like 10 times louder, and you are annoyed.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know I could complain about this, but this actually has happened to me. I have ads for my Max subscription, and I always feel like Max, in general, as a streaming service, is much lighter than all of the others. I always end up having to turn it up, the shows or movies, much louder than normal. Yeah. Especially the movies. And I'm always like, why am I turning it up this loud? Like, my TV is never this loud for me to just be able to hear comfortably. And then as soon as the ad starts, it's like blowing you away. Yeah. And that's the main culprit that I can think of off the top of my head, where it's like obviously louder. I think also on YouTube sometimes it happens.
That's what I was thinking. I think YouTube is definitely really bad about this.
Yep.
And so I would assume, because this law, I don't know how it exactly pertains to, like, especially YouTube. It's not really a streaming service, but then there's YouTube TV. So I don't know how this all will
And everybody
sort out.
uploads their own ads on YouTube because you have to, set up your ads on YouTube or whatever as a business. So everybody's making their own videos on their own that are considered as ads. So I don't know how YouTube is going to have to try. They'll have to come up with some type of coding to set the decibels levels at the same
I mean, they
level.
definitely should be capable of that, of being able to normalize the volume of everything.
Sure.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's very valid reasons for why they don't, because they definitely don't.
Yeah.
But I think while the FCC is at this, I guess there may not be a law about this on the books. But you know what annoys me too is if you're watching something, usually this would occur on your phone, and like the thing you're watching will stream in one quality.
Yeah.
And it's not as good. And then you get the commercial and it'll be in perfect quality. And you're like, how is this possible?
Yep.
I'd much rather actually have the commercials just not load.
Yeah.
So I feel like that needs to be in some ways addressed too, but I don't think anybody cares about, nobody's watching out for us on that one.
No. And I don't know if the FCC can control that because it's probably just people will say it's an internet issue or whatever.
Right.
But hopefully they can fix this commercials things because I didn't even realize you can complain about this, but I definitely have experienced that, and it would be nice to get that removed.
Allie, you should know this. You can complain to the FCC about basically anything.
I'm just not a complainer, so I don't even think about the idea of complaining.
Radio U, where music is going, 8772 Radio U, although the line is busy right now because we have Sparkle from Radio U. She comes on after us here on Radio U. And Sparkle, we've been waiting to talk to you about Love is Blind. I heard a little bit of Allie's thoughts yesterday, but I haven't gotten a chance to talk to you yet. So just take the torch and go. What's going on with Love is Blind now?
I mean, first of all, it was the cliffhanger is they will do anything to make anything dramatic.
That's true.
Every single second of the show. I mean, they can look at each other weird and it's going to be like a whole different section to the show. But I mean, they just released 3 new episodes. We're getting closer to the altar, which is very important. My thing is, if someone put me all through the wedding thing and said no at the altar, that blows my mind that they let some of these couples go all the way through to that. That just blows my mind. But
absolutely.
So do we think is that going to happen?
Oh, for sure. There's going to at least be like one couple that says no.
Yeah. I mean, I was like team Devin and Virginia, but then after this last conversation about politics and like kind of some different views, I think Devin's like, I'm not sure anymore. The prenup came in, like a lot of people were getting mad, and I know the prenup's all like, oh, you leave what I have, whatever, you leave with what you brought into the marriage. But she was so serious about it, which makes me think, is she a little bit richer than we think we are, or maybe she's just really stingier than we think we are? We don't know.
Yeah.
Virginia,
That one definitely feels like a shaky couple, but I know that they're trying to mislead us, but I'm starting to worry that Sarah or Ben are going to say no, because the way Sarah looked at the end of that episode, which was the last episode that they aired for for this season, I was like, oh, is she gonna say yes? Is she gonna say no? You know what I mean?
Well, and then they also just did her confessional where she's like, I was so for sure, but now my heart and my head are not communicating, and I don't know, and like all this dramatic things. But then she talks about her mom, about how she's like, I think we can compromise. They're also the other couple that has different values. And so in my opinion, I really think she's going to say no, but they're going to get divorced in like a month. You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Even if they do say yes, I don't see them lasting very long because of how different they are.
Okay, so
no, 100%.
Listen, Sparkle, Allie, and I feel like you went along with this last week. You're telling me how the finale was coming out this past weekend. And so Allie texts me on Friday and says it wasn't actually the finale after all, and we're all upset and feel hoodwinked. Are you feeling the same way? Because you don't sound as upset about it.
Well, only because when I got done talking to you, I talked to remember I'm in 4 Love is Blind chats.
Right.
I immediately went to my other one, and my friend Kaylee, who is like number one, like even more than me and Allie, like number one, she was like, I don't know where you got your information. I knew the finale is in another week. So I was like a little bit calmed. Like I was a little bit, and I was like, oh, I guess I should have texted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should have. You should have.
I didn't know. She was like, where did you think the finale was coming? And I was like, I guess I really did think that. But she told me it's going to be this week. So I was a little bit more prepared emotionally, which I need that because the show puts me through a ringer.
It's true.
Well, I was thinking about this, Allie, because we've had, several days now to reflect. And I was thinking, obviously, I don't watch Love is Blind, so I don't know what's going on. But if they, after the Super Bowl, were like, it's going to overtime, I would be like, yay, more football. So, you just should be excited. Your show's not going away for another extra little while.
Well, the only issue is they keep leaving it on cliffhangers, and we just want to know who is going to say yes and who is going to say no. So I'm anxious.
Yeah, we have Love is Blind anxiety right now.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to we need to get through it. But when the finale comes, I think everything's going to be summed up. But the number one thing I look forward to is the reunion. I just want to get through the finale.
That reunion's going to be spicy.
It's going to be so spicy.
So for real though, then when is the reunion? Is it this weekend or what?
I don't actually know. The finale.
They don't give the reunion. Yeah, they don't do the reunion until after the finale. They don't even announce it. You have no idea. The whole world doesn't know right now. So we are in the dark on purpose. I think they do it to create hype.
Yeah.
I guess it's working. Because we just keep talking about it.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't sleep. Okay. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that happening whenever it will happen. Sparkle, thanks for waking up early to talk Love is Blind with us.
You guys are always worth it. Always.
Aww. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
It's RadioU. I was just telling Allie off the air, just a random thought that popped into my head, but I swear to everyone this is true. RadioU, we moved our studio, we moved into a new building. It was almost a year ago now. And one of the things that didn't come with us from the old building that I was just reminded of randomly this morning is the scales. And when I tell you that we had scales in the men's bathroom at the old RadioU building, it's true. We had, and I'm not talking about, it wasn't just somebody brought their digital scale with batteries and whatever and forgot about it or something.
Right.
There was a full on, full size, you wouldn't see it at a doctor's office now because it's not as new school as the scales they have, but doctor's office style.
Yeah.
With the post that has your weight on it right in your face.
Yeah.
When you step on. And for some reason, that was in our bathroom. And I just think that's a wild thing that we had.
I have never heard of a job having a scale that you could weigh yourself in the bathroom.
Definitely not a radio station.
No,
maybe there's some lines of work.
Sure. I would imagine if you're going skydiving or something you're an instructor, you would need to know your weight. But but for radio and just any job in an office, that's the last thing I would expect to see. So that did crack me up a little bit when you were telling me that. Because I also know some people the sight of a scale makes them very self-conscious.
Sure, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. I as weird as it is that there was a scale in our bathrooms, I did use it. I did. Every once in a while, I'd get curious. I'd be let me check in.
That's how I am with scales.
Mm-hmm.
If I go over to somebody's house and they have one sitting in their bathroom, and I'm like, maybe I should just pop on there real quick. I do have a scale at home.
Yeah.
But I that thought has crept into my mind.
I have a scale at home too. Everybody does, right? But who wants to go through the hassle of changing the battery? So my scale literally sits there, and I haven't actually used that one. I have an
old timey scale where it's you just stand on
needle.
It, the needle moves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those never break, I guess.
They can break. Mm-hmm. They can get out of I don't know what
Sync?
the term. Yeah, what the term would be, but they get off a little bit.
I remember my parents used to have one, and it had a little dial, and so you could mess with it, and then make yourself 20 pounds lighter than you actually are.
This is what I actually weigh.
Yeah. But I don't know. I used to use that scale. I don't know why it didn't come with us. I also like to think about the first day. 'Cause I don't know what the story is behind the scale. It was just always there as long as I worked here. I don't know what it was like. Imagine the day that the scale appeared in the bathroom.
Oh man, that'd be what's this doing here?
Yeah.
What's this saying about us?
Exactly. I feel like if there
someone tried to tell me something,
if it was put there with no explanation, then everybody would be like, should we say something? Like,
imagine if it was put there with like a little bow and ribbon and it had like a name tag, like a gift for such and for Hudson.
It just has a Post-it note on it. Enjoy.
Enjoy. Yeah. Oh no.
I don't know. I kind of miss that scale. Now, like today, I thought about it. I was like, I kind of would. I wish that scale was here.
I kind of would like to weigh myself right now.
Today. I get my weight checked like twice a week, and I still wish that scale was here sometimes.
I mean, I weigh myself almost every week as well on my scale. They tell you not to weigh yourself every single day most of the time, especially if you're trying to lose weight because weight fluctuates so much. But yeah, I usually try and weigh myself in the morning because that's like your most true weight.
Right.
And then I try probably once or twice a week.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I wish it was here because it's the morning time. I wake up early. I haven't had anything to eat yet to throw things off. Maybe a nice baseline to set, you know, it'll probably make myself feel good every once in a while.
Sure. So
maybe
or bad.
Maybe all offices should have a scale in the bathroom.
I don't know about that.
Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, not to be confused with the longtime sports personality. Dan Patrick, the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, has come out and said that he thinks it's about time that we stop calling the New York strip steak a New York strip steak and instead start calling it the Texas strip steak. Since Texas is the largest producer of beef in America, he says in New York, the cows there are dairy cows. They don't even use them for these kind of steaks in general. And so Texas should be getting the credit just because somebody named it the New York strip steak 200 years ago or whatever doesn't mean we should still be calling it that now. What do you think about that, Allie?
I mean, we jokingly talked about something similar yesterday with Canadians changing the name of the Americano to the Canadiano. So this feels similar where it's like, we're going to stick it to New York. We produce the beef. We're going to call it the Texas strip steak. I guess he's trying to make this happen in the state of Texas where he will, restaurants will have to change the name when they reprint menus. Not that they'll be forced to reprint, but whenever they do, to change it from New York strip to Texas strip. So, this is interesting. I don't think it really has anything to do. I mean, obviously the states, I guess, had a play in it at some point when it was named the New York strip steak. But it's more like, it's not that it's from New York or like a part of New York, but it's like the cut of the steak.
Yeah.
And so I think he's getting himself a little confused here by making it seem as if it's like, this steak has to be from New York.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the cut of the steak is from New York.
I don't think anybody is confused or actually cares where the steak comes from or whatever. Like, you care about the cut, but I just think it's a dangerous game if we're just going to go about renaming things.
Yeah, willy-nilly style.
Yeah, we don't need to do this.
Yeah.
It's just going to lead to things becoming complicated. I'll give you
confusing.
Yeah, that's right. Like, everybody just knows some things. If there's no actual reason to change it, we don't need to change it. It's just confusing to people.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example. You know the Hawaiian pizza?
Yes.
The Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada. It has nothing to do with Hawaii at all. In fact, the only reason it's called the Hawaiian pizza is because the brand of pineapple that the Greek Canadian guy used on the pizza when he made it was Hawaiian brand pineapple.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Leave it to the Canadians.
And so, what are we going to start calling that then? Like Hawaiian, everybody just knows. We don't need to complicate it by switching up what it's called.
Right.
We don't need to complicate this by making it the Texas strip steak. It's a New York strip. Everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
Let's stop trying to mess things around.
And I think there's plenty of other cuts that are associated with Texas, like the ribeye is probably one of them. T-bone maybe. I don't think that you need to get worried about, ranchers and farmers not being appreciated by the names of cuts of steak. Like, I doubt that they actually care about that.
Yeah.
Just as long as they're making their money as a rancher, as a farmer for what they do. And we appreciate what they do. We enjoy these cuts of meat.
Right.
So we appreciate them. I don't think it being named the New York strip stops that from happening.
If we start calling it the Texas strip, people could be legit. They could actually hurt the cattle industry in Texas because people are like, they're like, what happened to the New York strip? And, they don't order it then.
Oh, they start a war.
Yeah, because people like to go with what they're familiar with.
True.
And so if you start calling it the Texas strip, people won't know what that is. They'll be very confused.
I mean, I'm willing to try any steak, so
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be confused. I mean, I'd be confused, but I don't think I'd be discouraged from ordering.
I mean, I'll point out the flaw of my own argument that if you go to a restaurant and they're like, where's the New York strip steak? What happened? Texas Roadhouse?
You're like, well, you're at Texas Roadhouse, sir.
But also, then they'd just be like, well, we call it the Texas strip now. And then you'd still get the same cut of steak.
Yeah, you'd be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. What if we find out the Texas Roadhouse isn't even from Texas?
Oh.
Could you imagine?
This whole time it's been from Sheboygan, Michigan.
Yeah, we should research this. I need to know, and I need to know now. It's probably from North Carolina or something. And so be careful.
I really want it to be from the north.
Be careful if you want to start. When was it founded? I need to know. Its headquarters are in... oh, no. Do you want to play this game, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick?
Oh, no. Tell me.
Texas Roadhouse was founded in Clarksville, Indiana.
Oh! Indiana Roadhouse.
Yeah, right. Is this what you want to start doing? Is this really you want to take away one of your most respected institutions that has nothing to do with you whatsoever? We'll go down this road.
Indiana Roadhouse.
We'll go down this road right now.
We're renaming it right now.
Happy Tuesday. Happy Fat Tuesday, as some call it. Some call it Shrove Tuesday, I believe. You heard that?
Yeah.
I
heard you say it yesterday.
Yeah,
I've never actually heard of it.
I think that's, let me, you know what? Why would I actually know? Why don't I just look it up?
Why don't you just Google it?
Yeah, it's today, Shrove Tuesday.
Shrove Tuesday. Why is it called Shrove?
Shrove Day is the final day of Shrovetide, marking the end of pre-Lent. Lent begins the following day with Ash Wednesday, which I knew Ash Wednesday was tomorrow.
Yes.
I asked you, Allie, off the air, I said, are you giving up anything for Lent? Mm-hmm. If you aren't familiar, I mean, you explain the Lent thing, Allie.
So Lent is the 40 days between Ash Wednesday. So it starts on Ash Wednesday, but it's 40 days until we get to Easter.
Right.
It does not include the Sundays, but 40 days until Easter starting tomorrow. And typically what you would see is you'd see people fasting during that time and taking that time to pray and grow closer to God and really focus on the fact that we need God in our lives. And so it's become quite popular for people to give up something during the season of Lent and kind of focus on, when you think of wanting that thing or, in those moments you are like, okay, I want this thing, but I'm giving it up. So in this moment of me thinking about that, I'm actually going to switch and think about God and maybe pray or read my Bible. So I started doing this in college. I really had not practiced Lent or practiced giving up something for Lent. I had fasted, but I had never done it during this season of like these 40 days or whatever.
Yeah.
So I started doing this in college where I would give something up. And the thing that I found most effective was actually giving up something I love a lot. And we've talked about a lot.
This is so crazy.
And that's
I asked and I was not expecting. I could not. When you said it, I thought you were joking.
Nope, I'm not joking at all. Popcorn.
Allie is giving up popcorn for Lent. And not only is that like a new thing because we've been making fun of you for your love of popcorn, but you've been doing that for like since you were in college.
I've been doing it for a few years, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, and it actually is quite effective because I do love popcorn a lot.
Oh, we can tell.
Yeah, and so I once again brought popcorn with me for lunch today since this is the last day I can have it until after Easter.
Yeah. This is, it's going to smell a lot different around here for the next 40 days. I'll tell you that. I think it's cool that you give us stuff for Lent. I used to do that when I was younger. I haven't participated in a Lent giving up of something for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I've decided on anything for starting tomorrow, but I appreciate people that do it. And so I think it's, I think it's going to be interesting to follow along your journey of giving up popcorn once again for 40 days.
Yeah, I'll be going through withdrawal and all that. No, I'll be fine. But in the moments of when I want popcorn or smell popcorn, because I also use it when I'm nearby it and I smell it, I will think of, like, okay, in this moment, let me remember how I need God in my life and I rely on him, and I should take this moment to think about him, pray to him, and in some cases also read scripture if I can. So it's it's a good reminder, and we should probably do it more than just 40 days out of the year.
For sure.
But yeah.
Well, it's like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
You say, I show that I love you all year round. But like Valentine's Day is a special day.
Yeah, it's
and Lent is a special
reminder,
time.
special season during the Christian calendar. So I'm all on board, giving up popcorn starting tomorrow.
I do think of it as like the Christian, like religious, the version of, it's like adding Jesus to dry January. If that helps you think, helps people understand. This is crazy. A diehard Pokemon fan just spent almost $88,000 on a Cheeto that is claimed to look kind of like Charizard.
Kind of.
$88,000 they spent on this thing. I don't know who they were bidding against necessarily. Like, was there other people that also were willing? Like, they were like, I'll spend $80,000, but that's where I draw the line.
Right. This was sold by an auction site, so yeah, people were auctioning for this and bringing that price up to $88,000.
That means at least two people were probably willing to pay upwards of $80,000 for this thing.
Yeah,
which is actually crazy. I mean, you can see the pictures to compare. Allie, I know you're not a Pokemon aficionado by any means, but even to your novice eyes, how much does that truly resemble Charizard?
I mean, it's like Charizard in silhouette, sort of. You know, like a shadow that's a little malformed or something. But
I mean, I guess I'll say this. It looks more like Charizard than any other Cheeto I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's got what looks to be like a tail and maybe a wing.
Yeah.
But it also could just be
It could be two Cheetos stuck together.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. And in all honesty, I don't know who was eating this bag of Cheetos that actually would stop eating the bag of Cheetos to look and notice that this looked like Charizard and not just keep eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for me, if I'm eating a snack, I'm not looking at it and thinking about it long enough to be like,
especially when it's a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah, usually
just put those in my mouth as fast as possible.
Usually I'm not even looking at them.
I usually eat Cheetos like a horse, like with a bag strapped to my mouth. Yes.
Just like
I can't even view them because the bag is just
trough.
Yes. So that I would who knows how many Cheetozards I've eaten. And not even realize. I love that somebody also calculated out that this Cheeto is about 3 inches long. That means this person paid $29,000 per Cheeto inch for this Cheeto Charizard. And now what? Now what are you going to do with it?
You're just going to put it up on a shelf and be like, I own the Cheetozard, which so what?
It's going to impress nobody.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a red flag.
If it impresses them, yeah, it's a red flag. And it should be a red flag that you spent that amount of money on it.
The one flex could be like, oh, I have enough money that I can spend $88,000 on a Cheeto. But if somebody like is tempted by you having money, if that's a draw to them, they're also going to realize that you're horrible with money.
Right.
Because you spent $88,000 on a Cheeto that looks like a Pokemon.
For some people, that's like 2-3 times of what they make in a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane that you spent that amount of money on a freaking Cheeto. Like, come on.
Yeah. This is crazy. This is under no circumstances is this a smart purchase? No. This is not going to appreciate in value either.
No, it's not.
Even an investment.
Just going to slowly fade away into Cheeto dust. No matter how hard you try and preserve it. I don't even know if you could, but it's going to slowly just, dissolve down into dust.
Yeah, here's the thing with Cheetos. They're just like a car. They depreciate massively in value the moment once you open the bag.
Yeah.
And this thing is like years old at this point.
Yeah, it was discovered. They're not even sure when, but it's sometime.
Archaeologists aren't even able to use carbon dating to determine exactly how old this is. They have a rough estimate of 2018 to 2022.
Oh my gosh!
How did they even come to find it then? Was it stuck in somebody's couch?
I don't know. Again, if I was this person eating a bag of Cheetos, why did you look at it long enough to even notice it resembled anything?
Yeah. We're doing Love 'em or Leave 'em here on RadioU. Whenever you've got relationship quarrels that need to be sorted out, we are here to help. 877-2-RADIO-U. You can always send them in and keep that number handy because we're going to need you to weigh in with some advice in this situation where we have a guy who says his girlfriend has just gotten way too particular about her coffee.
Oh.
Check this out. He says they've been together for about 2 years. They had a pretty good routine. And for a while, like, he would make her coffee.
Uh-huh.
And it was a nice thing that he thought he did. But then once I guess she started to get used to it, she got particular. She started to get particular about how she wants it done. Over time, she started insisting on a super specific method where he had to like measure the grounds to the exact gram, pre-warm the mug in the microwave for 30 seconds, add the milk at a certain temperature, so on and so forth. A lot of requirements of particulars about how she wants her coffee done. Okay.
Okay.
It started off as a nice thing that the boyfriend was doing.
Yeah.
He says, at first, I tried to accommodate a request because if she loves coffee that much, I want to make it nice for her. But it's gotten to the point where every time I hand her the mug, she grills me. Did you weigh the grounds first? Did you warm the mug? What kind of milk is in this? And that if anything is off, even by a little bit, she'll sigh and say it's not as good as, quote, the right way.
Oh my goodness.
He says one morning she actually took the mug from me and dumped the coffee down the sink and started the process over herself.
No.
He said, so at that time, he said, if you're going to be this picky, just make your own coffee. I'm done making something only to be told how it's wrong every time. And now I feel like now we arrive here.
Yeah.
Where do you go forward from here? How do you resolve this? Or do you at all?
Oh, man.
8772-RADIO-U. What do you do when you started making coffee for your girlfriend and she starts to take it for granted?
Yeah.
And starts to get really particular about it.
Yeah. What do you do?
8772-RADIO-U. We need some good advice for this love 'em or leave 'em situation. Regina says, tell her I love you, but stick to your guns. I hope this is her biggest flaw. We heard from Consuelo, who says, oh, no. He is 100% valid for telling her to make it herself. What was done in love has now become a burden. Consuelo should be like a poet or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a good point.
Did you plagiarize that? Where did you get that? She needs a slice of humble pie, in my honest opinion.
Ooh.
I like that from Consuelo. Max says, my wife gets a coffee almost every day. I don't make any demands, and I love it. I think she gets
him a coffee. Yeah.
That girl can make her own coffee, and can you imagine how it would be if he was married to her? That'd be tough. And Joe got in and says, serious red flag. Leave and don't look back. Nothing else you can say or do. Joe, a very clear leave him.
Yeah.
Allie, what do you think? You're not a coffee drinker, so how would you approach all of this?
I'm not a coffee drinker, but I don't think you have to be to understand that this situation is messed up. First of all, he started doing this for you as a thing that he just wanted to do for you in the relationship, and that's great. Mm-hmm. And if there were some things that you wanted to critique on, like, hey, this is actually how I like my coffee. I'd rather have it with this amount of creamer instead of like this, because everyone takes their coffee differently.
Yeah.
And so if he truly was making your coffee in a way that's not what you want, then for sure, tell him this is how you would like it. But it seems that she's taken that to an extreme and has gotten very ungrateful in the situation. And I would encourage, if he is trying to describe to her how it makes him feel, flip it on her. Tell her, hey, that time when you made me this thing, and you brought it to me like breakfast in bed one morning on my birthday or something. Yeah. And how would you feel if I started critiquing all of it and said, well, you should have made the eggs this way instead of here.
And then dumped them in the garbage.
And didn't even eat them. You started making new eggs. If it was a reverse situation and the guy was getting the coffee and he was criticizing the girl a bunch, I don't think she would put up with it rightfully so. Right. That would not be very nice. And I think it's the same thing for the girl to do that to him. It's not very nice. You shouldn't be doing that. And you should be grateful that you have somebody that's willing and wanting to do something to make you happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think she needs an ounce of gratitude added to her life to realize,
Measure that to the gram.
Yes. To realize how great of a catch this guy is or seems to be. Obviously, we don't know everything about the relationship, but in this one situation, it does seem that you need to add a little bit of gratitude to your feelings right now and think about how he's feeling when you're constantly criticizing him and saying he's not doing it the right way or whatever. And if he can never do it right, then just say, hey, honey, thank you so much for trying. I like my coffee this way. I'm going to make it, myself.
I like that Susanna chimed in because I know she's a coffee aficionado. And she says, okay, she's being kind of a jerk. Though coffee is very important, his feelings should be slightly more important.
Just slightly.
Yeah, just slightly. I get it. So here's the thing. I don't know at what particular point along the line it goes from being like reasonable for her to ask, like, add the, like, as a coffee drinker, I understand why you'd be particular. I don't know at what point along the line it becomes too much for her to ask of him, but no matter where that line is, her dumping the coffee down the sink and being unapologetic about it is too far. And so, that needs to be a very difficult heart-to-heart conversation. And if she's not willing to understand your feelings on that, then it's a leave 'em.
Yeah, it might be a leaver.
It's crazy. I'm going to leave you over coffee. Actually, yes, we are going to break up over coffee, but it's really more than that.
It's because it's symbolic about other things.
It's more than that. Thanks for listening to The Hudson Show. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast.